Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Change my audio. Happy Monday, man.
Yes, sir.
You walking a little slower, a little older. You're a little older today, aren't you?
Woke up with a little extra pains, just part of the process. No, I will tell you,
It's better than not waking up.
I decided that I wanted true. And I wanted to try this whole weighted blanket theory. Have you seen these?
I know what you're talking about.
They're
but
like
I have not tried one.
It's like okay. So I wanted to try it. So Courtney got me one for my birthday, and it is amazing. Like it's like mind blowing. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like the perfect amount of like weight. Like it's like all the pressure, like the slight pressure. If you have like any pain, soreness, like it just goes away. It's wild. And you don't get hot. I was afraid I was going to get hot. I didn't get hot. It's amazing.
I think that's cute. I think it's nice you needed a couple extra little snuggles at night, so you got yourself a weighted blanket. That's cool.
I've a
it's
little.
Nice. You get a little older, you get a little softer.
I have a little blankie now.
I like it.
You know what I need? I need better friends. That's what I need. I need new friends now that I'm 35 that don't make fun of me for having a blankie. That's my goal this year. Get new friends.
Wait till you see the stuffed animal you have to go along with it. It's coming. It's interesting. It's a duck. You can ask Susie about it. All right.
Oh God.
So back on track. Right. So we've got a hell of a market.
Back on topic.
This market is ridiculously amazing. It is awesome. The questions nonstop from, it doesn't matter, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're on nonstop, guys, and we love it. And I know you love it. And those of you, you're crushing it and you're kicking butt. I was helping agents this weekend writing $1 million plus contracts, multiples, and I'm just so proud of them. And it's awesome. We got some 8-figure ones going on. We've got some 7-figure ones going on. We got just, it's amazing, right? But with this type of market comes some issues, right? It really, really does. It's not easy, right? And Craig says it all the time. It's way harder now than it typically is. When you're negotiating 40, 50 offers, guys, when you're competing with 40 or 50 offers, if you're a listing agent and you're reviewing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 offers, it's not easy. It's stressful, right? And you got agents trying to talk you into taking theirs over the other ones. It's just stressful. And it requires different thoughts. Kind of why, when I were talking about this yesterday, we're going to do kind of a Q&A. What's going on with this market and how do we actually deal with it, right? Because from a buyer and seller's perspective. So if you didn't shoot your questions in, please do into the chat, because I want to just jump right in and then talk about what's going on, okay? So let's talk about buyers for a second, because are they really? No, they're educating courage, guys. That's our company mantra, right? So the buyer side of the world right now, if they haven't bought in a while, they just don't know what it's like, right? If you, the last time, when did you buy your house, Mike? When did you and Courtney buy this house?
About 6-7 years ago.
6 or 7 years ago. Let's say they decided to go buy a house, right? There's no seed planted there or anything. But let's just say they decided finally to just go buy. The experience today versus 6 or 7 years from now it's like they're on a different planet, and they're going to walk into this purchase thinking it's the same situation it was 6 or 7 years ago. And that's the biggest problem we have, guys. And we need to first seek to understand and then to be understood, right? If Mike and Puma were the buyer, or if Mike and Courtney were the buyers, they're going to go in with their preconceived expectations based on what they're used to, right? And that's totally normal. It's totally natural, and it makes sense. So they're going to think, honey, let's go buy a house. Let's look around this weekend. Maybe we find a house we like. We'll go think about it. We'll go have dinner. We'll call our parents. We'll just think about it over the weekend. We'll just see what's going on. And then we'll throw an offer in, and then we'll go talk to our financing guy. We'll do our inspections. If we don't like it, we can walk away, and, let's just try it. Right. That's the way the real estate market was a year ago, even 2 years ago, certainly 6 or 7 years ago. So they start saying, oh, look, honey, there's a cute house on Zillow. Let's go look. And then they interact with an agent. That's when all hell breaks loose right now. So let's go through the experience now about what do we actually do with a Mike and a Courtney that decides that it's time to go buy a house right now, because they've seen the posts, they've read the news articles, they've seen the stories, they know that the inventory is short, but they probably don't really have a clue about how crazy this market actually is right now. So how do we, let's set the stage here. How do we coach them? How do we teach them that we have value? How do we teach them what our value is today? Because it's totally different than it was 6 or 7 years ago. So that's what I want to start off this morning with.
Yeah, I was having this conversation actually with an agent on Friday, and they were kind of asking, as a new agent getting into this, never done it before, with the market being as hot as it is, obviously that would increase competition. And so they were concerned, and clearly didn't, just being brand new, didn't really understand the role that they were playing. And so I explained to them, I was like, listen, it's always the case, but it's never been more true than it is right now, that your role, when you're getting your license, their thought was like, oh, I can't wait to go drive buyers around and show them property. That's not your role, right? Your role is not to open the door and show them where the kitchen is. They can figure that out, right? When they walk into the kitchen, I'm pretty sure they know that's the kitchen. Your role is to make sure that when they do walk into the kitchen and they fall in love with it, that you have them so buttoned up, ready to go, that they offer necessary in this type of environment that's actually going to make that kitchen theirs. That's the role. And if we're not doing that, right, as a team behind them, then we're doing our clients a disservice. And that's the bottom line. So
right on.
That's the role we're playing, and that role is always the case, but it's never been more true than it is right now.
And you're right on. Now let's talk about how we verbalize this and express it and say, okay, Mike, thanks for reaching out. I'm glad you guys decided it's time to buy a house. It's an amazing time to buy a house. Rates are low. It's crazy, but the market's different than it was when you guys bought before. So I really want to take this time to interview for the job to be your agent. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to explain to you how I run my business and what's involved with working in this industry right now and how I work with my clients. And if you like that, let's work together. And if you don't, I can help you find another agent. Is that fair enough?
Yep, that's fair.
Okay, good. So let's talk about what's going on in the market right now. First and foremost, I'm going to really spend some time with you and Courtney. We can do it over Zoom. We can go over coffee. It doesn't matter what we do. I prefer Zoom. It's a lot more efficient at this stage right now. And I really want to figure out, what do you guys want? And I want to make sure your expectations are aligned with this market right now, because it's different. And I really want to show you what's on the market, how quick things are going, and then ask you a bunch of questions, really understand what's important to you guys. And then we're going to really figure out your needs, your wants, your have to haves, your kind of wants, and really figure out which neighborhoods, which area, and really drill down to exactly what suits your needs. Okay. And then once we figure that out, then I'm going to show you what those things are what the values are in the neighborhoods. And then I'm going to get you together with the lender. Are you working with the lender right now?
Hold on, I just want to pause real quick though, and just emphasize something real quick. That part of setting the expectation has never been more important than it is right now, because I have friends that I've referred out to a couple of our agents that are trying to buy. And one of them reached out to me very, very frustrated because they hadn't been able, all the offers they've put in, they haven't won. And their expectation going into this was that, oh, I have money, I've been pre-approved, I'm qualified, this should be easy. I'm just going to go look at the house. I'm going to find the one I like. I'm going to tell my agent, they're going to put the offer in, and then I'm going to move in. And literally that was the expectation. And if I'm having this conversation with Jeff and the next words out of my mouth are, well, Jeff, I've got to be in a house next week, but it's got to be the perfect one. It's got to be in this school zone because this is the school that we want our kids to go to. Need it to be, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and I also need it to be at $400,000. Jeff has got to be able to look at me and say, dude, listen, I would love to make that happen, but I need to be honest with you and set the expectation that given the current inventory, that may not happen. So if it doesn't, what's the alternative? What other options do you have? Is there somewhere you could stay? Do we need to look for a rental? Right? There has to be a real conversation to make sure that the expectations align with actually happening, because the general public doesn't really understand. They know the market's good because we're telling them. They know it's tight because we're telling them, but they don't really know what that means. So I just want to emphasize that real quick.
No, you're right. Let's go a little deeper on that too, because what I want to say to you also as a buyer is we really need to make sure that write this line down. Make sure your expectations are aligned with the current market, right? That's really kind of what we're looking to do. And if you're committed, Mike and Courtney, to actually getting a house right now, I will commit to getting you one, finding you one. And it might not be on the market, right? What I do for my clients right now is when they're committed, when they're approved, when they absolutely are ready and have to buy a house, I will schedule my time during the week and I will go hunt and go door to door. I will track down people no matter where they live, and I will find you a house. Okay, so that's what you're getting with me. That's why I say I like to interview for the job, because I have limited time and I give it to my clients, right? So I just want to make sure that you want to be my client and you want me to be your agent. So these are the questions that I'm asking for you, because when we find it, we have to pounce.
No.
So the lender that you're working with is important. What do you want to jump into that?
How many agents do you think are actually saying that to their clients? Because that right there in this marketplace, you're hired, right? I've interviewed or talked to several agents. I'm probably hearing the same thing. Listen, I'll help you, but market's super tight. I'm not sure we're actually going to find what you want, or it might take 6 months to actually get you what you want. How many agents are saying, listen, market's really tight and I can't give you an exact timeline, but what I will tell you is that the perfect house for you may not even be on the market right now. And I will go door to door in the neighborhood you want to be, and I will find you the house, and we will keep searching until we do. Right? That conversation, I bet, is not happening with 99% of the agents in the marketplace.
That's right. Now, imagine going live on Instagram or Facebook and actually telling them, hey, look what I'm doing today. I've got a new buyer and they're frustrated with the inventory in the market, and they've worked with a couple of other agents. And I said, look, let me just interview for the job. Let me explain to you what I do with my clients right now. And I told them what we're doing, and here's what I'm doing. They're actually pre-approved. They're working with the lender. I've actually spoken with the lender. I understand the loan program. I know that they're rock solid. They're golden. There's not any doubt that they're able to perform. So now I'm going to actually I know exactly how many bedrooms, exactly how many bathrooms. I know the school district. I know their top favorite 4 streets, and I will find them something on these 4 streets. That's what I'm doing today. If you have a friend who's a little frustrated with their home search, they probably don't have somebody with a level of passion that I have. So feel free to shoot them along, guys, and hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye. Right, there's my Facebook post. There's my Instagram post. There's my LinkedIn post today. That, if you want to. Now, guys, be realistic. You need one good qualified appointment a week. Now, if Mike and Courtney are absolutely need to buy, which is let me rewind my script for a second here. So the first thing, let me interview for the job to be your agent. I have 3 questions for you. Do you have to buy a house right now? Do you know where you want to live? And do you have a time frame in which you have to be in it? Remember, guys, I'm not going away from these. These are the 3 things. We went way deep on Next Level You on these things too. Do you have to buy a house? Do you know where you want to live? And do you have a time frame where you have to be living in it? And if the answer is no to these 3 questions, I don't think I'm going to work with you right now, because I need somebody who has to buy right now. Now, if you really, really want to, different story. You don't have to. So right now, the have to buys are going to trump everybody else because they have to buy, which means that when it comes time to put the offer in, they're going to put a strong offer in because they have to buy, right? If Mike kind of wants to buy, his offer is going to be reflective of somebody who wants to buy and is unattached to the outcome and doesn't really care if he gets it or not. He'd like it, but he's okay if he doesn't because he doesn't have to buy. You guys following this difference? Because too many of us are looking at our leads and saying, I've got a bunch of buyers, when you don't. You've got a bunch of lookers and want tos, but you don't have a lot of buyers that have to buy, know where they want to live, and have a time frame they have to be living in a new house. So let's be hard for a second and let's be realistic on what we actually have in our pipeline right now. And I want you to answer those 3 questions for every lead that you have right now. Have to buy, know where you want to live, you have a time frame to be there. If the answer is no, you've got leads and they're wonderful. And one day they'll turn into buyers, but they're not buyers right now. They're lookers. The lookers are not going to pay your mortgage next month. Lookers are not going to fund your investment properties right now. Now, when they become buyers, they will. So you have to pay attention to them. You've got to still work with them, but you don't need to spend a ton of time with them because they're not ready to buy right now, especially in this market. It's gut wrenching, guys. You're not going to buy a house at this price right now. It's just not going to happen, most likely. You're going to be over. You're going to take away all your inspection contingencies, likely. You're going to take away your appraisal contingency. You're going to put a ton of money at risk in escrow, and you're going to close as quick as possible. You might have to make them dinner and wash their car, right? That's just the market that we're in right now. So if you don't have the need to buy right now, or the strong, super strong desire to make it happen, this probably isn't your market to be playing in. Okay. And we have to have that conversation. You need to be okay with that too, because how many deals do you need this week? 1, right? You don't need to be running 12 people around this week. You need 1 really good one, and then spend a little time with the 11 until they're ready. But that's the difference, guys, right now. So you've got to take control of the interview process for your buyers and make sure those 3 questions are answered. Make sure you're talking with their lender, and then say, Mike and Courtney, once we talk to your lender, I'm going to know exactly the loan program. I know how much money you're going to be putting down. I know how long it's going to take for him to close this loan. I know how comfortable he is. I'm going to have him run you through underwriting to make sure that you as a couple are fully approved. And then we're not going to look at any houses until I have that outcome, okay? Because it's a waste of everybody's time. And many people are saying I have to send a pre-approval before I can actually even show you the house. So step 1 is I'm going to figure out exactly what you want. We're going to get the lender to figure out your pricing. And then we're going to do this. Now watch this, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to spend some time online. We're going to probably go into my Zoom room. I'm going to open up the MLS and I'm going to search different properties. We're going to look at the different neighborhoods. We're going to look at the different price points that your lender tells us that you want to stay in. We're going to show the pros and cons of the neighborhoods. We could do some Google walkthroughs. We could do some Google Maps. I could show you the distances between the churches and the supermarkets and the boat ramps and the bike racks and the schools and the airports and everything that you want. And we're going to narrow it down to the neighborhood, right? Or maybe 2. Right? We're going to get our top 2. And then we're going to look at every house inside those neighborhoods. This is online. You can have a glass of wine while we're doing this. We're chilling out. And we're going to narrow it down to, I want to live in this subdivision. I want to live in this area. I love this area. This is great for me. Now let's find the homes, right? Now we know we can pounce. This is what you can buy right now. There's 4 of them, right? Nope, there's 3 of them. Oh, now there's 2 of them, right? They're going to start getting the picture of it. So then we can go. Because when we go out to look at properties tomorrow, right? We can't just set an appointment for next Saturday, guys, because they're gone. We have to go tonight. When it hits the market, it's going to have multiple offers today. I have every save search saved for you. I know you do too on realtor.com and Zillow. You see something I don't see, you call me. I see something you don't see, we're going to call and book an appointment and we're going to go. If you can't go, I'm going to FaceTime and I'm going to be there. We're going to walk through. I'm going to dot loop you a contract. You're going to click a couple buttons and we're going to put it under contract. Right? This is how the market works right now. Are you guys okay with it? And notice, guys, I don't care. I'm not attached to the outcome because I'm busy. This is how I run my business. I want to interview for the job to be your buyer's agent. And this is what I know will get you the house. Are you willing to work under these parameters? And do you want me to be your agent? I'd be honored to be your agent. Do you want to work with me the way I like to work with my clients? Period.
Well, that's super important too with how busy most of you are, right? Because most of you have so many buyers that are in the market. You have listings. You have so much going on that it's more important now than ever. to do it. Sorry, I think we've lost. Did we lose audio? Jeff, are you still there?
I am here now. I'm just transferring, walking into the office with it. So transfer between Bluetooth and not.
Yeah,
So I'm back.
I was trying to transfer mine over here too. All right, there we go. Just having some computer issues.
Hey, so guys,
Yeah,
pay attention to this. Pay attention to this because you've got to take control of the buyers. And I know most of you are doing a version of this, but you're not doing it at this level. And this requires that level. So let's jump in to a couple of the questions that we had. So I'm going to start taking a few of those. I just wanted to start out with that intro.
Yeah, I know one of the questions we received this morning was, how do we have that conversation with a potential seller who has seen their estimate on Zillow, and how do we explain to them that that's not an accurate value, etc. That was the gist of a couple of questions we got this morning.
Well,
I'll let you start with that.
Yeah, I'll start with that. So you're talking with a seller, and I'm just going to use some of the examples that I know it's working. I can't resist myself talking about absentee owners. So those of you who are working them, and unfortunately I can count them on my one hand, that are really making this a huge lane right now, but they're crushing it. So when they find somebody that says, you know what, I'm kind of interested in selling a house. What do you think it's worth? So always the question is, now what do I tell them? What do you tell them? The only thing you could tell them is the truth, right? Here's your ballpark range of values right now. And I like to use RPR. I personally like RPR. I think it's a great little program. It's inside of your MLS, right? It's a good ballpark. They're going to see their estimate. Let's show them the RPR, but make sure you caveat and says, this is not a real value. This is a ballpark to tell you where you're kind of playing and what makes sense to you and give you an idea. Now, to understand the real value, like you said in the daily post today, the person who determines the real value is the buyer. And the value of your property is based upon whatever else the buyer can buy on the day they decide to buy, based on whatever else is available to them. So I'm going to come do what's called a strategic pricing analysis when you're ready, but I think we're premature right now. You just need to know your house is in the 380-ish range, right? So the ish is all I really care about. So when it's time to be strategic, we're going to go head to head with what's called a strategic pricing analysis. And I'm going to show you the top competing properties that we're going head to head with. And guys, it is a head to head competition right now. And we're going to really understand the house around the corner, the 1-2 neighborhoods over. And we're going to I'm going to do this, look at their kitchens, look at their bathrooms, look at the square footage, look at the view, look at the dates, look at the roof, look at everything I can find out about the property, because that's our competition strategically. And we're going to position ourselves where it's going to be to our benefit. Sometimes we price to sell another house to get them off the market, so we're in better position. Sometimes we price so we sell the next, and we'll get to that later, right? So I'm going to do strategic pricing analysis, which gives you our top 5 our active properties right now. There might have not even be 5 right now. There's probably 1 or 2. Then I'm going to show you the top 5 sales, because it's important, because the appraiser is going to take care of those 5 things, right? And look at those 5 houses. And then we don't have many expireds right now, but if there are a couple, I'll let you know, right? So that's the next step. First thing I need to do is go take a look at your house, Mike. So what's a good time for me to run through so I can really understand the features and benefits and how we compare to the other properties in the marketplace? That's how I run my business.
Yep.
Now, what if he kicks back and says, why don't you just tell me a price? Somebody from Remax just told me they can get me $489 a square foot. What do you do? What do you do? Did he see your house? No, he didn't. He was just going off of past sales and comps. Okay. Do you think, is this not one of your largest financial transactions in your life? Don't you think it's worth somebody spending a little bit of time and actually seeing what we can get you from a top dollar perspective and understanding the features and benefits, the things about your house and how we position it and how we can make you an extra 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe, who knows, right? But there is no way I can price your house until I see it. And I always use this example. In my hand is a 2.5 carat diamond. What will you give me for it? What will you give me for it?
I mean,
what are they going to say?
That's the reality, right? You could always tell someone what they want to hear.
Yeah.
The reality is it doesn't make it true, right?
And tell them that. Tell them that.
Yeah, I think having that you got to have that conversation with them, right? And that's not always an easy conversation to have, but it's the conversation that has to be had. You have to have that conversation. But I think one of the big things, and I was trying to get this across in that daily post today, with everything going on with Zillow, I personally am so tired because I'm a member of all the real estate groups on Facebook. I am so tired of seeing the posts about complaining about Zillow and they're the devil, they're the monster. Even executives from other brokerages complaining about Zillow. Are you kidding me? Guys, listen, the reality is this. We allowed this as an industry to happen. There is one thing that matters, and that is consumer attention. That's it. Whoever has it has all the power, right? And so whoever creates the best consumer experience will win. And the second that you start fighting against technology, you will lose. So to sit back and say, oh, well, everyone used to have to come to us to get the access to the house and find out how much it was worth. And there used to be the whole printed book and all of that. That's great. It's also ancient history. Okay. The reality is the second you start pushing back against technology, you will lose. Technology is not slowing down, and Zillow is focused on one thing: the end user's experience. That's it. Why? Because they know that if they control and provide a great experience, they will have the end user's attention. And when they have the end user's attention, everyone else who also wants the attention of that consumer will have no choice but to go through them to get it. The thing you should be upset about is that as an industry, between the agents, the brokerages, and the MLS, no one else figured that out. And no one else focused on the end user intention. Instead, everyone was focused on trying to be the one that was in the middle. And in the middle is where you die. So we can't be mad at Zillow. In fact, you should be high-fiving Zillow because they figured out a way to capture all the consumer attention into essentially one place. And now we know that the intent is there when people go to the site, right? You are not going to beat Zillow. Them buying showing time was one of the smartest things they could do because it's just enhancing the consumer experience. And so it was a smart move. You got to tip your hat. Sometimes they make smart moves. Now, do I think it was worth $500 million? No, I don't. But that was their decision, right? Their money. But us fighting it as an agent or as a brokerage is stupid, and you will lose. So now with that being said, let's get that out of our heads and understand how do we leverage it, right? And we can't fight it. We can't tell them that they're stupid for going on there. We can't try and keep, that's my favorite. Well, I just try and keep my clients off of there. Are you serious? Like, that's not going to work. Like, in your dreams, that might work. Then, oh, yeah, they love me. They're going to come to me for their home search. They're not going to go on Zillow. Guys, everyone goes on Zillow. I go on Zillow. Jeff goes on Zillow. We all go on Zillow. It's part of the process. Now,
I go on Zillow more often than I do MLS.
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier to navigate.
And you got.
And quite honestly, if Zillow had the ability to guarantee commissions, I don't even think the MLS exists anymore. You don't need the MLS. If Zillow had the ability to guarantee that an agent would get paid, what is the purpose of the MLS?
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
That's one of the next. And
that's the next step. So if you guys think that's not where this is headed, your head's in the sand. That's exactly where this is headed. They're not trying to become the next brokerage. They're trying to become the next MLS. and they will win because they have the end user's attention, which is ultimately what we all want, right? The MLS really just exists because it has to at the moment. So we need to respect it, not be mad at it. And that's the mind shift that I think we need to have as an industry.
And then circling this back to the point, this where we're going with this is this: if you don't sell your value appropriately,
100%.
you're in deep trouble. Okay, I don't care if you were my buyer, I'm going to sell my value in such a position that I don't care where you find your house. I don't even want to show you a house, right? Go to open houses. Go look at everything you want after work. You don't have to call me. Go. The first thing out of your mouth is, I'm working with Jeff Beggins and here's his card, right? Don't even have to have the card. I'm working with Jeff Beggins. He's my agent, right? I'm going to coach you that my value comes once you find the kitchen you want to cook in, right? My job is to get you the kitchen, to use your words from earlier, okay? So you find it however you want to find it. I've got you set up in every search on the planet. I'll go bang down doors for you. You go find one from your neighbor's, cousin's, friend's dog at the dog park. I don't care. As soon as you find it, I will get it for you, and I'm damn good at doing what I'm doing from a negotiation standpoint. I have to own that position in your mind, right? Not the home search feature. I'm not the home search. I do not have any ability to find you homes better than you do on the apps on your phone, right? Zillow and Realtor.com and Central.com and Remax.com and Redfin.com and all those other ones. Save a search on all of them. I don't care. I'm not worried about you losing me. I'm not worried about losing you, because my value is not a home searching monkey. My value is a badass, kick-ass, Jedi master, ninja, contract negotiator person. That is what you're getting when you get me, nothing else. That's my value today. Okay, that's the value. So you have to have this conversation with every buyer lead that you have right now and make sure that they know what they're getting with you. Talk about agency, do the handshake agreement, do the lifestyle profile. All the tools we have right here, guys, is a simple process. Talk to you, I want to interview for the job. Here's my buyer pre-qual script. Here's my lifestyle profile form to figure out your needs, your wants, your wants to have. Here's your handshake agreement. Let's talk to your lender. Let's pop in my Zoom room. Let's find some properties. Let's narrow down a neighborhood. Let's go see 3 houses. We're going to pick one of the 3, and I'm going to go get it for you. That's it. That's how we work. You're not ready to go down that process. You're not ready to buy yet. You're not my Wednesday appointment. Just the way that it is right now. No, I'm not going to ignore you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I said, I'm not going to ignore you as a lead, but I'm not going to treat you as a buyer until you're ready, right? Especially right now, guys, because to look is stupid right now. It just teases and aggravates everybody and wastes everybody's time. This is not a looker market. This is a, I'm ready, please get me a house market.
I look at this as being the exact same thing if you're in a committed relationship versus dating, right? If we are in a good, it's all about the relationship. If you've built a solid relationship with the potential client, then they will be committed to you. And if you don't, then they won't, right? We've all had people that we were not super committed to, and they either cheated or we cheated in that relationship, and then it ends, right? It happens. Now, is there times where you're going to demonstrate value, put in a ton of work, feel like you're committed, and then that buyer or that seller is going to go cheat on you? Yep, it's going to happen. And that's, what do you do? What do you do in a relationship? You end it, right? Cool. Cut ties, move on. I don't know what else to say, right? It's literally the same thing. But if my wife were to go out to a club tomorrow, I'm not going to be concerned that she's going to go cheat, right? Because we have a committed relationship where there's enough value and trust between everyone. And it's the same thing with your potential buyer or seller. If you've built enough relationship, enough rapport, enough trust, enough value, then they can go out to as many homes as they want. The reality is, when they find the right one, they're coming back to you to close the deal. And that's it.
If the 3 questions are answered, not the 5 questions, the 3 questions, right? Are you good at what you do? Can I trust you? And do you care about me? Those are the 3 questions. Stay focused here, Puma. You should have matured.
That's all another podcast.
Are you good at what you do? Can I trust you? Are you good at what you do? And do you care about me? Those are the 3 questions. Because if they know that you care about them, if they can trust you and they know that you're good at what you can do, then they're not going to cheat on you in this business. But here's the problem, guys. You're assuming they know what good at what you do really is. Okay. And if you let them think that it's finding a house that's on the market and opening the door to show it to them, you're dead. Dead. That's not good at what you do anymore. Good at what you do is, let me explain full disclosure, obedience, loyalty, confidentiality. Let me talk about the perfect contract, above full price, tons of money in escrow, short inspection period, me understanding your loan program, me understanding when the ideal closing date is for the seller, me understanding how to use DISC VAK to figure out who the agent is and to figure out who the seller is, and to do my stalking on LinkedIn and Google and Facebook public profiles to figure out more about the seller. So when we write the letter with the emotional ties, I can hit a nerve in their emotions, right? This is what my value is. This is how I'm good at what I do, right? This is the training, guys. This is the point that you have to come across and say, this is what you need. This is what I do. I'd love to be your agent. I'd love to interview for the job. If you work together, this is how I run my business. If you'd like to do it, let's work together. If not, I'm going to shoot you off to somebody else who I think you'd be a better fit for. And either one's fine. You got to do it, guys.
Has to be done. Now, one of the other questions I get a lot, just because I do a lot of our interviewing in, so new agents, especially to us, they ask a lot, what is the difference between a CMA and a SPA? So given the fact that your dad is the SPA originator, I figured I'll let you take this one.
Right.
It's a big question.
Here's the difference between a CMA and a SPA: marketing, positioning, and sales. It's the same damn thing, right? Comparative market analysis, strategic pricing analysis. We just don't want to do what everybody else does. And we don't want to push a button with Cloud CMA and spit out 14 pages of charts and graphs and crap, right? So Dad came up with, what is the simplest way that's realistic that the sellers can understand and say, okay. And his is super simplified. We even don't even go as far as we probably should go back to he did something called the wallet, 5, and dart, right? The wallet represents how much money somebody has in their hands. They can buy a house, right? 5 is the net for the 5 properties they can choose to buy with that amount of money they have in their hands. And then they throw a dart and it lands and they buy that house, right? From a pricing perspective, you throw a dart and then you figure out where you're going to price your house compared to those other 5 properties that are on the market. If you throw it at the high part, you're going to be priced high, overpriced. You're probably going to be the last one to sell. You throw the dart and it lands low, lower than everybody else, you can be the first one to sell. You're going to be in the middle, you're going to be in the middle. You get to choose where you want to price your house. Do you want to be the one to sell this weekend, this night, tonight? Do you want to sell next month? Do you want to be that one guy that tries to get $650 for your 480 house and never sell? Up to you. Okay. So it puts the pricing decision in the hands of the seller. So, but it's strategic because there are times, not many times, but there are times where I'll say, Mike, Courtney, the house around the corner is our biggest competitor right now. Honestly, it's nicer than ours. Which word do I use? Ours, right? Because it's now my house. I market it with you. It's not your house anymore. It's our house. Our house really doesn't compete with their kitchen, and they've got a much bigger yard, and their pool is honestly awesome. Best thing in the world for us is to get that thing off the market, right? So why don't we price a little bit close to them so they're going to see that house is a better value than our house? Let's get rid of them. Somebody will buy that one, and now we're the only person in the dance. Now we're the ones that are going to sell next. Now that's a strategy. It's just strategic pricing analysis. And that's how we work this thing out. We might say, hey, Mike, I know the one 3 doors down was a for sale by owner, right? Because I talked with them. And I also know that they got a ridiculous price for their property. The best thing in the world for us is that one has to close because we need that comp. When that thing comps, when that closes, and I can show that sold price recorded, we just changed the whole game. I can get an extra $25 a foot for us in this house. So strategically, we should wait for about 2 weeks, right? Because this thing's pending and it's supposed to close in about 2 weeks. And I'd really love for that to change the game for us, right? Strategic positioning analysis. We're actually changing the name on this one, Angela, if you're watching this too. It's not pricing anymore, it's positioning. Strategic positioning analysis. Pricing is just a byproduct of positioning, right? And it's just part of one of the decisions we make along the way. So that's the difference between a strategic positioning analysis and a CMA, market analysis, right? That's what we do. It's a game. Guys, this is a game. This is a sport. This is a head-to-head competition battle. That's what we're doing. And that's what we're doing from a buyer perspective to figure out which one should we buy and how much we should pay, right? And then from a seller perspective, it's we have control. We have the value. We have the asset, which is your listing we're going to put on the market. And there's a lot of strategy behind this. You do not want to be the one that sells to the neighbor off market tonight. That's dumb, right? You want to open it up to the competitive bidding environment, and you want to hit the market, and you want to get everybody to do it and see it and bring us as many offers as we can. And then we're going to pick it through, which goes into another question that we got this morning from Jim. And Jim said, I'm having a really difficult time of justifying 6% from a listing side commission right now. And Jim, you're right on, because the sellers are saying, why do I need you, right? If everything's selling multiple offers tonight, why do I need to pay you 6% to do this? It's a $400,000 house. It's 24 grand. I can do a lot with 24 grand. Love you, buddy. But, right, realistic. That's a realistic issue right now. So what do? How do you justify 6? First of all, you need to stop positioning it as 6, and you need to delete that from your brain. What do we actually charge? As a company, the way we position our offering package is we charge 3% for marketing, full representation, and the ability to handle and represent you as a seller. We charge 3% on the list side. That's just what we charge. Now, the buy side is a whole different animal. We're going to strategically look at everything that's on the market in your neighborhood right now, and we're going to be competitive. And there's a strategy behind this too, Mike. Let's say it's you and Courtney giving me this objection. If we look at everything in the neighborhood and they're all offering 2.5%, then we should probably not piss off the whole marketing community and offer at least 2.5%. Now, it's a lot of my clients that realize the value of saying, wait a second, what if we can actually offer 2.75, right? And we offer a little bit more than the 2.5. Do you think the agents are going to think more favorably or less favorably of our property, right? And we're talking about 0.25% of $400,000 house. We're talking about $1,000 to be the favorite child in the neighborhood. I think it's a wise move because I know how to negotiate, and I'll get that back in the negotiation, right? But we don't have, so that's it. You want to offer 3, offer 3. You want 2.5, 2.5. You want to offer 2, they're going to hate us, right? And if they hate us, that's not really good for anybody because they're going to say, oh, you want to look at that house? That's fine. I just heard there was haunted and there's mold, but if you really want to see it, let's go. Right? Do we really want to set the stage for other agents to say that about our house? I don't think that's a smart thing to go do. And if you think agents don't do that, you need to think twice because absolutely agents do that. And they'll do it vengefully and spitefully sometimes. So how about having an honest conversation with the seller about the strategy involved in pricing and positioning, and commission offering is a big part of that. Now, are we worth our 3? Abso-freaking-lutely. Are we worth less than that? No. If they don't see the value, they can go somewhere else, right? That's just the value of what we bring to the table as listing marketing machines, negotiation badasses, and the ability to put as much money in their pocket as humanly possible and represent them. But Jeff, Remax said they do it for 4.5%. Okay, you know what my favorite comeback is to that is, first of all, do it. What's their it? What did they say they were going to do for 4.5%? I'd like to see it. Right, because let's compare its to its, and if maybe I could do it for 4.5%, let's take a look. Right, Coldwell Banker said they'll do it for 5. Okay, let's take a look at their it. Let's see, have the conversation, guys. Let's have the conversation. If it's Coldwell Banker, for a good example, say, well, what do they talk to you about agency? I know this answer, right? Because Coldwell Banker it's illegal for them to offer single agency, and so they didn't mention the fact that they actually cannot legally put your interest in the best, and they can't represent your best interest. Do they talk about how there's no full disclosure allowed? Do they talk about how they're not allowed to be obedient to? Did it even come up that there's zero loyalty towards you? Right? Did they talk about confidentiality isn't part of the I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. You know, if you can't compete on value, you're kind of forced to compete on price. I get it. I see how they're doing that. Right? And you just start to have a conversation and start to let them think. People never change their mind. They make new decisions based on new information, right? So they didn't realize that. Does agency matter in a market like this? Guys, more than ever.
But most people don't realize
offers.
but most people don't realize it, right? I had bought and sold 4 homes before I got involved in the industry and realized, wait a minute, I wasn't represented in any of those.
Nope.
I mean, an insane amount of money exchanged hands over those 4 transactions with no actual representation on my side.
For a seller to list with a company that cannot offer single agency in a market like this is the dumbest thing in the history of the planet, right? You're going to have multiple offers and you can't defend me, right? You can't work to the detriment of anybody in a multiple offer situation for the house that you have listed. No seller in their right mind would say, that's a great idea. Let me pay you to not represent me. That sounds fantastic. Where do I sign? Right? That's never been said. They don't know. So we have to pitch that whole aspect out there and just say, let me explain to you the difference. When 4 offers come in, right, and they're all from other agencies, because mostly they're going to be, because there's everybody in the planet is out there looking for properties right now. As soon as we hit the market, we're going to have 6 offers probably in the first day because we're going to position it properly. I go to work then, right? Would you not want me to, when I look at each offer, be able to shift my loyalty to you, to be able to shift everything in your benefit to beat them up? Did you know that most other brokerages or most other agents, most meaning the majority, greater than 50% of your competitors do not offer single agency? That's most. So most people cannot work to the detriment of the other party in a negotiation. They can't do it. Can't do it. Seller does not know that. You have to pitch that thing out there.
And the also, second that you start taking it away, right? So once you explain it and then say, yeah, so if those things aren't important to you and you're willing to have me not represent you and not do those things, and you think that's in your best interest, then I guess, yeah, maybe we can take those things away and potentially lower it down.
Yeah, let me talk to my manager, my broker for a second. If you really don't want any representation in this transaction, I could probably do it for 5%.
And there's a valid reason for that, right? Explain to them, listen, there's a reason that not everyone offers it. It's increased exposure for myself, my license, my broker's license. There's increased exposure. However, we believe it's the right thing to do. We're dealing with the largest financial transaction, or at least one of the largest financial transactions of your life. And we believe that it's in our best interest of our clients to offer that. And that's why we do it, right? But it is increased exposure. So for that, we believe there's an elevated cost and an elevated risk. And so we charge the full percent because we believe it's worth it. However, if you don't want it,
there's also an increased level of skill that goes along with being able to offer that. And we have to touch on that point, guys. That's the most important part. Do you think now, why have all this knowledge if you can't use it? Right? Really, if I can sit there as a single agent in my position saying, bring it, come on into my house, bring me an offer, right? Oh, so nice. I notice that you're highly analytical, right? Driving your gray Prius into my open house. Oh, so nice to see your high-ass wife in her little flowery pastel dress, right? Do you think that might, oh, look at your agent is a super high eye. That's probably not going to pay attention to any of the details in the contract. Do you think that has value for me as a listing agent to be able to just know that those 3 things I just talked about, there is thousands of dollars in benefit on just those 3 things I just said, right? So if our presentation isn't talking about that, which our presentation is talking about that one, because I'm redoing our listing presentation right now to change the basis point of what our value proposition is. If you can't start talking, you got to start telling the sellers that we get paid for communication, for people in communications and negotiations and skill. Okay. I know that a CSI combination of agent, buyer, and buyer walking in, I know how to work that transaction. I know how to negotiate properly. I know how to appease the agent. I know how to appease buyer 1. I know how to appease buyer 2. I know how to present it. I know how to sell it. You think when I do the home tour, you think I might know how to explain it properly to the C? You think I might know how to talk about it to the S? You think I might know how to appease the I? Yes, right? This is what you're hiring me for. Comfort equals trust, and trust equals more trust, which is comfort, which gives me the ability to get a contract through, right? Yeah. They're going to take my counter offer a lot more seriously if they feel comfortable and trust me, and they know that they feel comfortable that I'm aligned with them. And if that high C buyer, right, feels that I'm aligned with him, he's not going to question my counter as much. Now, I'm a single agent and I'm totally working against his best interest, but he doesn't feel that way because that's my job. You guys get this? This is sales. This is skill. This is what we're getting paid for, especially in a market like this.
Now, if we know that let's say we're representing a buyer, how important is it to have a buyer's back in such a way that when you know that most of the listings that are not being offered by us are being offered by someone who is not a single agent on the listing side? Can we not take advantage of that in a multi-offer situation? Because I specifically remember being in the car with you about a year and a half ago, and an agent called and we had it on speaker, and she goes, the agent, we just made an offer, and now they're coming back saying they're not, he came back immediately and said he's not going to even present that offer, doesn't want to present it because they're not going to take it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm listening to this, and I told you to ask her, how's that agent representing you? Come to find out, that agent was not actually representing that client. And I will be willing to bet you have a lot of agents that are violating the way they're actually representing their sellers right now. And you can take advantage of that. And could that be the difference between you getting your client a house and not getting them a house? I believe so. Right? There are so many ways, guys, to manipulate this to your client's best interest, because you actually have a client. And the second that you, as a buyer rep, can slap that listing agent and say, oh, by the way, I actually have a client. You don't. So shut up, sit down, and let's have a real conversation. Right?
Now, let's caveat, you're right, you're spot on. But let's also be very cognizant of that. If I have multiple offers and you come in and are a prick to me, I'm not going to let your offer go.
Agreed. You have to do it in a respectful way. I'm exaggerating the method of which you do it. But my point is that you are in a much stronger position than most of the people that you're actually making offers to. And gently reminding them of that may be helpful if you can do it.
Let's go through a gentle reminder process, right? So you're the agent. You're the listing agent. I represent the buyer. I'm putting my offer through. I'm going to say, hey, Mike, just quick question. I'm sending you over the offer. I'm also including my agency. I'm a single agent with this one. You're a transaction broker on this deal, right?
Yeah, I am.
All right, cool. All right. Listen, here's my job here. I want to get you a check, right? You're working for the transaction. I'm working for my client. I'm going to make sure that I get this done. So between you and me, I'm finishing the final steps here. What will make sure that you get this check? What do I need to know? What's the ideal closing date? What is the going on in the seller's life right now? What would make them happy to see on this offer? Tell me everything you can tell me, because I want to make sure that this happens. And you're working for the transaction here, so let's figure it out together.
Yep. And now, here's the funniest part about this, though. Should that listing agent start blabbering out everything? Probably not. Will they? As Chris always says, you get an agent talking, they will talk, and they will start sharing. And can you ask these questions as a single agent? Yep. Right? Yep. That's the difference. So the ability to even legally ask the question and then let them answer. Now, will you have some agents that go, they have to share some stuff, right? But they don't have to necessarily share everything, but they will. A lot of them will, because they're not strong.
They still have limited confidentiality. They can't just roll over and say they're getting divorced, they're bankrupt,
yeah,
they're in
they
deep
can't
trouble.
just tell you, oh, well, they'll take this. If you just offer this, they don't have any obligation to do that. However,
a lot of them do.
They will. And in this marketplace, you're finding more and more agents that just literally had a listing fall in their lap because their Aunt Sue realized how much equity she had, and little Johnny just got his license, so she's going to pass it along. And so you're having listing agents, right, that probably are working on one of their first listings, that have no idea what they're doing. They have zero broker support, and they just want to check. So if Jeff approaches me and says that, and I'm that agent, I'm like, listen, yeah, I want to get paid. Yeah. Listen, here's what we need. Right. And I'm going to start spilling it. And it will happen more often than not in this type of market, especially. So it's just leveraging the tools, and single agency and our ability to actually represent is a huge tool.
And ask the questions, guys. Hey, Agent Mike, tell me about the sellers. What do they do? Does this hurt? The question doesn't hurt. Why are you asking? I'm just curious. I'm just like a people person. I'm always just inquiring mind. I just like to know what's going on. He's an engineer. Oh, that's cool. And she's an artist. All right, cool. Very sweet. All right. Well, let me see what I can do to get your check, man. Let's get this deal done. Knowing that I've got an engineer and an artist, and I'm going to instruct my buyers to write a cool little letter. Do you think I might talk a little bit about some analytics and a little bit of creative artistry and the ability for my kids to be creative and create some inspirations and some artwork in the backyard, and then inspiration into that oak tree, and and talk about how we strategically set up our investment strategy over the years. And this is exactly the right time to make sure that the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, our financial affairs are in order, and this is the home that we really strategically and emotionally really feel it's amazing, right? I mean, guys, selling is legal. Do it, right? And that's what we get paid to do, is actually leverage our skills, right? As a reminder, if you think you need to get a little sharper on the DISC, VAK, and sales skills, you can go into begginsagents.com. It's password protected just for us. It's our tribe, right? And you can go watch the first couple classes on Next Level You, or Chris and I did a really great recap on the personalities and the DISC and the VAK, and building rapport and trust and mirror and matching, and just learning how to connect with people. And that's really where we earn our value, guys. So begginsagents.com. If you haven't logged on yet, put more. I think we need to look at that report and see how many people have logged on and how many people have not. And if you guys, some of you may not even know it's there. So just make a little note, begginsagents.com, and just sign up. You create your own password, you're in, but it's not for the public. It's only for our tribe. And so take a look at that one. All of the stuff is in there. So fun stuff, man. We have an amazing market going on right now. So let's look at a couple of chats. I think you're probably, my question is answered. For real, they divulge everything. You stay relevant in front of your clients. Zillow will not be a factor. This is a relationship business. Thank you, Deborah. You're right on that. Lauren, I love educating. They have to know their conditions. I had a referral from the past. There was a client who was FaceTiming with me from New York. We had 6 homes we were scheduled to tour one by one. They went under contract before we could tour it. He said, you weren't kidding how fast these homes are selling. He was buying that home as an investment with no time frame. So I steered him towards new construction, went over to South Shore Bay to sell the lifestyle. We toured 2 models. He was interested. He picked one. They chose the lot, went over his budget, bought a premium corner lot, FaceTime him. He just purchased it all through FaceTime. Home will be ready in June at DR. Great job, right? So that's the listening. Guys, everybody tells you what they want. You just have to pay attention and listen to it. So hopefully you guys got a little couple tidbits, a little nuggets this morning to start this week off, and really be clear about your intentions for this week. You need one good, solid appointment, right? One, right? One good, solid appointment this week, whether it's a buyer or a seller, but don't trick yourself into letting them creep into that appointment if they're not ready. Remember the buyers. Do you have to buy? Do you know where you want to live? Do you have a time frame to be in there? If the answers are not yes, I'd be very careful not to let them be my buyer this week. I'd still follow up with you. I'll still do my incubation time. I'll still maybe show you a couple things on Zoom, but you're not my appointment for this week. Okay. And then from a seller perspective, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Do you know where you're going to move? And do you have a time frame you need to be there? Right. And if the answer is no, then they're really not a seller. They're a thinker. Right, guys, as your partners, business partners, coaches, friends, everything, your time is the only thing that you have, and it's the most valuable thing in the planet. So please, please, please don't let people waste it, and let them have it when they're ready, and explain to them why they can't have it until they're ready, because this market is just such that it's irrelevant. If you're not ready to buy right now, why show you a house? It's gone tonight. Okay, so, and they'll understand that when you explain it and show your value. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.